Are you thinking of relocating to the Fort Wayne, Indiana area and are curious to know what that experience is really like? In this video, I'm going to be sharing mine and my family's experience with relocating across the country, the different challenges and the things that we faced, as well as things that we learned and things that I would not do again. My name is Jondi, and I'm a realtor in and around the Fort Wayne area. On this channel, I talk about everything Fort Wayne and the surrounding areas. Things from the schools, neighborhoods, shopping, things to do, and of course, gluten-free places to eat. So if you want to keep up to date on any of these things, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button. Back in 2018, my family and I lived in Seattle, Washington. We had family and some close friends that lived in the Fort Wayne area. So we decided to move across the country and relocate here. Now, growing up in my teen years, I had actually been to Indiana. I had been to Indianapolis and the Warsaw area, and I've driven through Fort Wayne, but I had never really paid attention to anything. So technically, we had never really lived here. So this was going to be a new experience for us. I definitely utilized my friends and my family to help be my boots on the ground as we went on this new adventure. Today, I'm going to cover a few different topics that really impacted our move. And I'm also going to make a few separate videos on relocating to Indiana, especially the schools and jobs and the different neighborhoods and things in the area, and share a little more in depth about those. So be sure to check out my video series regarding relocating to Indiana. Let's talk about schools. I just so happen to have three kids. Two were in elementary at the time that we moved here, as well as middle school. My middle schooler was getting ready to go into high school, so I was for sure looking at the schools in the area. And one way I did that was looking up reviews online. One of my favorite websites is schooldigger.com. I'm going to put that down in the description so that you can check into that. I definitely encourage you to do some research on your own as well. If you have anyone that can be boots on the ground to go and talk to the schools, or if they attend some of the schools in the area, that would be great. I made personal phone calls as well as checked out School Digger and some other websites to find out more information. I will be diving deeper into the whole school topic in another video because there are a lot of moving parts to this, and every state as well as county has its rules for transportation and which schools you can attend and which ones you can attend out of district. So be sure to check out that video. Overall, we decided to make the move during the summer and we started school in the fall. We did make sure that we were able to visit these schools and walk around the campus before they started school here. Let's talk about jobs and the cost of living here in and around Fort Wayne. Obviously, this is vastly different from Seattle, Washington, and the West Coast. Yes, the cost of living is a lot cheaper here compared to the West Coast, but I will say the jobs also pay at a different rate than they do on the West Coast. So you have to take that into consideration. Now, when it comes to jobs, there are some definite factors that you need to take into play. What kind of jobs are in and around the area, or do you work remotely? Jobs in this area center around three different types of jobs. One is medical. As I mentioned, Fort Wayne is one of the largest cities in Indiana. The second is farming. We have tons of farm and farmland in this area, and a lot of our crops get shipped around the United States. And we also have manufacturing. So there's some big manufacturing plants in and around the area, everything from plastics to GE, we have that as well. There are a lot of different jobs in and around Fort Wayne, and some of the manufacturing plants are just outside of Fort Wayne. So when I help people find housing, I always ask, where's your job located? And let's look at the commute time and the things that are important to you. When it comes to the cost of living, I actually made a separate video on this, diving deeper into the different zip codes in and around Fort Wayne. So the different cities right in Fort Wayne and Allen County and the ones surrounding so that you can see the different price points for housing and things of that nature. In that video, I also cover talking about the neighborhoods as well as the crime rate. I'm going to put a link down in my description sharing where you can find information about the crime statistics in the area, and you can best judge what works for you. Because if you ask me what neighborhoods are safe or what parts of town are safe, my view of what is safe and what yours is totally different. So I encourage you to do some research and check out the areas and see what you think. If you're unable to visit the area, I would definitely suggest maybe moving out here, looking for an Airbnb first, and staying there as a short term rental, 2 to 3 months. Tour the area, see what you think of the different parts of town, especially around the area where you work. The commute times and things like that, I can definitely help you with because at different times of the year, they are definitely varied. Doing this will hopefully help take some of the pressure off of you when you're determining where you want to live. I am curious to know if you've moved out of state or across the country before, what is something that you would do differently, that you would definitely change about your move? Make sure to put that in the comments down below. I'm curious to know what your process was to that. Now, moving to Indiana was not the first time that we've actually moved across the country. Initially, we had moved in Texas, and when we moved across the country that time, we decided to pare down to the bare minimum and load all of our items into a U-Haul and take both of our vehicles and drive across the country with three kids, and two guinea pigs. I know, crazy. It took us 5 or 6 days to get across the country. Now, we decided to do things differently when we moved from Seattle to Indiana. We sold one of our vehicles and we shipped the other one over here. We were able to find a good shipping company that worked for us, and they actually did what they said they would do, and they got it here within a day, maybe two, of when they had promised. So we shipped over our vehicle and we flew across the country. And then the rest of our items we actually loaded into like U boxes or pods, and we had those sent across. Now, we packed our vehicle with as many items that we needed as well as in our overnight bags. We kind of carried a lot of stuff that we would need for the first few days of living here in our suitcases. So we had to pay a little extra to take those with us. But it was nice when we moved to the area, we had our folding chairs in our vehicle. So the day after we got here, we visited with some family. We were able to move into our apartment to start with. We had our folding chairs. We slept on air mattresses for the first couple of nights. And I think by day 4, all of our items arrived here in Fort Wayne. We ended up having a little bit of a hiccup when we picked up our items. They had told us they were going to deliver them the apartment and they could not do that. So we had to rent a U-Haul truck and attach those U boxes and get them to the apartment. You just kind of roll with it. Thankfully, all of our items got here. I don't think we had very many fragile things. We did have a lot of keepsakes, but nothing was really broken. We were able to unload everything, and that was somewhat of a seamless process. I've heard of different people who ship their stuff across the United States, and I'm not sure if it was because of the time of the year that they did it or if it was the company that they used, but sometimes things really go awry. So, my suggestion would be, and the thing that we learned was have all of the things that, especially our kids and us, needed to make us comfortable when moving into our new place. Something that would last us at least a week. And then have enough money set aside that if we needed to go to the store and purchase it, then it wasn't that big of a deal. And have that buffer time in there, especially when arriving, that you weren't expected to just jump into school or jump into work unless you had the items that you needed. The biggest tip that I could suggest is build in some fun. You need downtime, but you also need things to look forward to. So, whether it is checking out some of the local events that are going on in the area, or making sure maybe you have a pool or a fun park or a place to go as a family to either go for a walk or hang out and maybe connect with those friends, be sure that you set the expectations that you may need to adjust to the time change and the many different things that are going on. So, if there's things that are missing or you need to run to the store, build that time in for yourself, but be sure to have fun. Be kind to yourself as you or your family are adjusting to living in a new state and a new city. There is one question as a realtor that I often get asked, and is it when I'm selling my house in another state, shouldn't I immediately purchase a house in the new area? That depends on your situation. If you've been to the area and you have visited it before and you know where you want to live. If you're not sure, I definitely recommend moving into an apartment or that Airbnb, that short term rental, so that you can figure out where you want to be. And that gives you time to look around and purchase a house where you want to be living. Do what works best for you and your situation. As I finish this video, I'm curious to know what questions you have for me. What are some things that I haven't covered in this video that you're curious to know about the Fort Wayne area and relocating to maybe just Indiana in general? And if you have specific questions about relocating and the logistics of that. If so, pop them down in the comments. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to see all of my videos that talk about real estate and the fun things that go on in and around the Fort Wayne area.